So how much money do you need to create passive income, to make passive income? Well, simply put, at least something, right? At least some kind of money you need. Now I'm gonna go over some of these ways and how you can actually calculate it for yourself to figure out what is actually required for you. All right, so what's really needed to make passive income? We know it's money, but how much more can we do? Well, hang on to the end because I'm actually going to talk about this income avalanche, a way you can not just calculate how much passive income you can make, but how you can actually get it to compound your income versus just compounding interest. So hang on to the end because I'm going to get into how you actually do that. All right, first and foremost, as you can tell, we got to do the math, right? We got to figure it out. So how much money do you need to make to create passive income? Personally, I recommend that you have at least $100,000 to $150,000 before you worry about creating passive income. Why? Because in my opinion, some of the better passive income plays usually require at least $50,000 to $100,000. So if you don't want to just throw all your eggs in one basket, maybe you want to have it in 2 or 3 baskets, $150,000 would be a good place to be. And in fact, if you're at that place where you have at least $150,000, you should probably go to moneyripples.com and reach out to us to see how you can actually make that work in your situation. But when I'm looking at this, I'm trying to figure out how do we make it work in the right way, doing the math so we can actually make a good return. Now, if you have zero money, I'll tell you this, the passive income is zero. Now you could do it with as little as $1,000. For example, there's a company I used to advertise my podcast on the Money Ripples podcast that their minimum was $1,000. But I'll tell you this much, they're only paying between 6 and 7%. So although that's decent, I mean, that's pretty darn good, still, you're not gonna get rich off that. Because imagine if you only had $10,000, making say 7%, that's $700 a year. The next year you have $10,700 to make 7% again. Now you're $11,400 and change. Next year you're like $12,000 and change. It's a long process, right? This is why it's good to focus on building your savings first before you worry about trying to invest for passive income. And while you're building that savings, one of the best things to do is build your education, which by the way, you're the right channel. Make sure you like and subscribe here because we have plenty of videos to teach you how to do that while you're building up your cash savings. But that's what it requires. It doesn't require a lot of money to make passive income. Like I said, at least $1,000, but I recommend not even worrying about it until you have at least $100,000, and then maybe we got some more to talk about here. Now, let's just say you're in that situation where you're trying to build up your cash, right? And you're like, wait, but I don't want to wait forever to build up this. I want to make passive income now. It's okay. Calm down. You've got some time, hopefully. I mean, I hope I have some time too, but we all should have some time to do this. And we want to make sure you do it the right way. The worst thing you could do is try to throw your money into something and lose it all, and then you're starting back over from scratch, and that's not a good place to start. So here's what I recommend you start right now. If you're trying to build up that savings, for those of you that are actually already have the savings, hang on to the end. I'm going to talk more about that and what you can actually do. But for those of you that are still building the savings, maybe you have less than 100,000, focus on building it. And the best way to do that is to build your income. Build your income with your job. If you have a business, build it in your business. Get profitable in your business. That's a big key thing. I recommend reading the book Profit First if you're a business owner. But if you don't have a business, maybe you're just a job and you know that you're limited on the income that you make, do a side hustle. Find some other ways to do that. It's going to require time and energy to create more money. That's the key, essential key, if you want to be able to have more to put away and invest faster. Now, we do teach a strategy, like you'll see many times on this Money Ripples channel here. We talk about like infinite banking or max ROI infinite banking. Now, that's a great strategy as well. But again, you still got to have money to put away and save for that strategy to work. But definitely you could check out some videos on that. But beyond that, again, it's really about the cash flow you have. How much money can you actually start packing away and saving right now? That's essential. Now, you might say, well, what if I bought my own home? Could I make money off that? Maybe, but don't count on it. Buying real estate could be great, even if you're buying your own home. Maybe you do something like what's called a kind of like a Berkey, or even just doing like a house hack where you actually will maybe buy a unit where maybe you can rent out the basement, or maybe there's a duplex and there's one unit you live in, then you rent out the other half. That's another option where you could do a lot less out of pocket, make some passive income that way. That's a strategy you can definitely do, but you're probably going to be managing the property yourself. It's going to require a little extra time and energy and attention, but that's another great strategy you could use before you have $100,000. But even if you were trying to put 5% down and that property is at $500,000, that's still $25,000. You still need to save up some money. So just be aware of that. So those are things you do, but I would say in the meantime, if you're trying to build up cash, build up those savings. If you're actually saving more than $5,000 or $10,000 a year, look at infinite banking on our channel. Look that up. You can reach out to us on moneyripples.com to actually put that into action. That can help you build it up faster too. Now, in the meantime, like in addition to having more income coming in, more money to put away and save, start learning the principles of investing. This is something I know that so many of our clients wish they had done first, because it takes faith to do something different. Because the truth is this, financial advisors will not give you this information, right? Essentially it takes money out of their own pockets. They're always going to tell you to invest in mutual funds, put your money away, set and forget it, lock it away in your IRAs and your 401ks and leave it there. Don't touch it at all, right? Why do they not want you to touch it? They'll tell you compounding interest is the reason, but the real reason is it's compounding their commissions. It's compound commissions, not compounding interest. They make more money. And in fact, even if you lose in the market and you say, I lost money, guess what? They didn't lose money. They're still getting paid. They might get paid a little bit less, but they're still getting paid even when you don't. To me, that's criminal. I think you should get paid only because you're providing a real value, not because you're just guessing and gambling. And so when we talk about these other alternative investment strategies, especially for those of you that do have income, or those of you that are trying to learn about it, it takes a little bit of time to reverse your thinking because we've been brainwashed for so many years that the only way to invest is to put your money in the stock market, to buy mutual funds, buy into those retirement plans, and set and forget it. And don't worry about it, because if you do worry about it, you're gonna get mad at your financial advisor and they don't want to have to deal with your drama. So they're gonna tell you, put it in there, don't look at it. Don't worry, we'll do an annual review and I'll just tell you every year, yeah, you'll look good. Keep doing it. Save more is what they'll say every annual review. I just predicted the future for you because why? I used to be a financial advisor. I know the future. I know what your future is going to look like. It's going to be keep saving more, set it, forget it. Hey, maybe we'll move this money around to here because it might make more money here. Oh, that didn't work. Move it back over here. Oh, that did work. Oh, but this one didn't work. And they just keep moving your money around and you're like, okay, I'll just do whatever you told me to. And that's the thing, guys. You just keep moving it back and forth. You put more money away only to find out later on, like my dad did, it wasn't enough. You realize like, wait a minute, I just saved everything. I paid off all my debt. I'm supposed to be free and I'm not free. That's the problem with financial advice. So the things we're talking about here, the education we're trying to help you build on this Money Ripples channel goes beyond that. It starts looking at things like real estate investing and other alternative investments. It could be oil and gas. It could be digital currency, although we're not big on that. But there are times and places where stocks, digital currency could make sense. And other times when we just want passive income. We want some steady, predictable passive income coming in so that we don't have to keep worrying about it all the time. So as you're building this income, you start learning about these principles, you start understanding the perspective. So when you get to that point, you can decide where you want to invest. And like I said, we talk about a lot of different investments on this channel here. You can watch the other videos to see what those are. But we talk about everything from like turnkey rentals to partnerships, even like you can even invest in things like car wash businesses, right? And be a passive investor in those. There's a variety of things you can invest in, even in the real estate space. Start to understand some of these investments and these options. And then if it gets to be that point, and hey, shout out to our coaches that work in our company that help you consult and figure these things out. This is a great way to help figure out where it might be best so that when you do have the money and you are ready, you can pull the trigger quickly, getting fast results. And that's where it kind of leads to this next thing is now that I've got my education built, I now know there's different investments. What do I do? Well, the thing is, we start to pick these investments, then you can start reinvesting. So let's just say that you built it up to $200,000. You start to invest in different things. Let's just say you made 10%, that's $20,000 a year. And maybe you're actually starting to save $20,000 a year. Here's where the income avalanche comes into play. You have the $20,000 a year you were saving. You add the $20,000 of passive income you're earning, you put those together, you got $40,000 that you now add to it. Now $40,000 if it earns 10%, adds another $4,000 a year. Your $20,000 a year now becomes $24,000 a year or $2,000 a month. What do? Same with the $20,000 you are still saving, added the $24,000, now you got $44,000 a year. Now the next year you're gonna be at like $28,400 if you're making 10%. Do it again, and you can kind of see how this now starts to compound your income. It starts to grow faster and faster. We also kind of recommend diversifying some of the places you invest. So not just investing in things that might pay you a certain return like 10%. Like there are funds and different things out there that'll say, I'll pay you 10% a year. If you lend your money to other investors, they'll say, I'll pay you 10. Well, what if that one can pay you 11? Maybe you make a little bit more. Maybe they'll pay you 12. Maybe more than that, right? That's great. You can do different things. Now, if you buy other assets that maybe have some growth to it as well, not just income, but there's growth. For example, when I buy a rental, I know that there's a growth aspect beyond the cash flow. Yes, I can make cash flow, but there's also the growth I can make in that property, especially if it appreciates, and especially if it appreciates when I have a mortgage on it, because now I have an amplifier effect. So for example, one of my properties, I put $32,000 down as a payment on that. And you guys have probably heard me if you watch other videos that, I talked about how I started at $300 a month. Now it's over about $800 a month. But on top of that, there was appreciation. So with appreciation and everything else, now I have over $100,000 of equity. I have roughly about $115,000 of equity in that property when I only had put in really like $28,000 of a down payment. but because of appreciation, it's grown more. Think about it. That $32,000 not only has made me, if you put in the right ballpark here, probably roughly about about $40,000 of cash flow in the last 6 years, it's also made me over $100,000 of appreciation too, or almost $100,000 appreciation. So between the two, I'm roughly about $120,000, $130,000 of total gains on a property I only put $32,000 on 6 years ago. That's huge growth. And of course, at some point, it's going to get to a point where I probably have enough equity to say, now compared to my cash flow, I'm going to sell that, take all that equity out, and go and buy other properties, or maybe multiple properties with that same money. It's like my property had babies, and then it starts paying me from more income sources as well. So guys, that's the beauty of this, is that you can increase your income over time. It can compound your income. It can compound with other returns and appreciation and things like that. There are lots of ways to make money, multiple returns, all at once, allowing your money to compound and grow, and that's what the income avalanche is. So at this point, let's just craft your work optional plan. You get to that point where you can compound your income and get that income avalanche, go to moneyripples.com and reach out to us for more information.